We are back. We are back on another episode. Welcome to the Writers Game podcast. I am going to be your host, Kyle King, seven-time best-selling author and the CEO and founder of the Writers Game, where we help executives, entrepreneurs, and professionals just like yourself write, publish, and profit from their book in a multitude of ways. And if you go back to one of our recent videos, the 9 streams of income from your book, the 8 places to sell your book, you're going to find 17 ways that you could be able to position your book, to position your story, to be able to generate hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars a year just from your story. So we're going to be talking about something absolutely amazing tonight. You know, I start the same way because I believe that all of the topics that we talk about are so necessary and so amazing, and they're going to help you not just become income generating, but help you impact people in the world. All right. So as always, I got to talk to you about my newest book, The Writer's Game, The Business Behind Your Story. Is down in the bottom right corner. And I'm super excited to be on this call with you all tonight. And again, throughout this training, I want you to understand one thing. I am here for you. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have feedback that you want to leave, use the comment feature, and I'm going to be able to answer all of those questions throughout the totality of this call. But this is the thing that I want to help you understand. This is part three of a 4-part series, how to write your book in 30 days. Part 1, we focus on determining your goals and understanding your avatar. In part 2, we developed your expert framework. And then we also mapped out your overall writing content. So if you missed part 1 and part 2, you have to go back, watch those 30 to 40 minute trainings, and then it's going to catch you up on where we are right now. And I promise you, by the next series, by part 4, you're going to be able to have your book fully written, fully mapped out, and ready to take to publishing, where you could potentially work with us at the Writers Game to be able to take it across the finish line. So let's get it. So tonight I'm covering creating a writing plan. So write down creating a writing plan. You can put it in the comment section. Because we've already went over 4 major steps as a part of these 2 parts. But tonight we're going to start with creating a writing plan. And I'm going to use a quote from my book. Authors are not defined by their writing plans. They are defined by their passion. I'm going to say this: having inspiration, being motivated, it's not enough. It's not enough, because the reality of it is that there's so many things that you're going to want to do, that you're going to want to write about. There's so many ideas and thoughts that are going to come to you throughout this process. But the harshest reality is that you're probably a mom, you're probably a dad, you're probably a professional, you're probably a coach or a mentor, and you wear so many hats. So tonight we're going to be able to structure a writing plan so that you can actually have something that you are able to commit to, that you're able to see through, that you're able to complete, and something that works for you. All right, so let's get to it. So one of the things that I wrote down is relying on inspiration alone is not going to get the job done. Through the process of writing many of my books, I found myself unmotivated, insecure, and feeling a sense of writer's block at times that I couldn't shake at all. Between being a father, running multiple organizations, and preparing to be a husband, there were so many hats that I was wearing. And by the time I sat down to focus on my book, I was exhausted and no longer had the energy to write or work through the chapters. Look, if that sounds like you, if you are hitting backspace more than the actual typing of the word, then I understand. But tonight we're going to be able to focus on a writing plan. So what I want you to do, last week we did a lot of different things. So can I just recap what we talked about last week really quickly? So by the end of last week, you should have been able to understand one central thing, and that is your framework. And that is also your how will I statement. Okay, your how will I statement. So how I would define your how will I statement is, how will I help entrepreneurs scale their companies to 8 figures? How will I help women recover after a divorce and recreate their life after marriage? How will I enhance school systems to help them perform on standardized tests? So when you think about your central theme, when you think about the thing that you're writing about, the thing that you want to cover as a part of your process, create a how will I statement. How will you do that? How will you do that? And then put a question mark around it. All right, at the end of it. Then from that how will I statement, I want you to take it one step further and create what we call a coffee chat explanation. A coffee chat explanation where you're turning that how will I question into what we call a purpose statement, a powerful purpose statement. Can you guys put purpose statement in the chat? put purpose statement in the chat. If you are with me, if you are ready to become an author, if you are already an author, or if you're just here to be nosy and see what I'm talking about, you can still put how or a purpose statement in the chat. Let's get to it. So my book helps. Insert who it helps, your avatar. We covered that in part 1. And then you insert your central theme or your purpose or your promise. All right. Then at the end, how are you like? You're going to hit by, insert how you'll do this in one sentence. So let me give you a quick example. My book helps high school principals enhance their school's academic performance by assisting them in creating a school culture that is inclusive, innovative, and collaborative. All right. So when you think about what your book is doing, that purpose statement is critical. All right. So that's what we covered last week. So now that you understand the purpose statement, now that you understand what your book is specifically doing, the first part is we are now going to create a chapter outline. So before we get to the writing plan, we're going to outline the specific chapter. All right. We're going to put an outline because I think a lot of people make the mistake. They make the harsh mistake, to be honest, where they are going off and they are writing this absolutely amazing book that they didn't plan because it's all from the heart and it's not in alignment to the goals that they want to be able to achieve on the front end of the process. Okay. And at the end of the day, the front end of the process is what you're going to need to focus on so that you can be able to create content, initiatives, all of these different things to be able to create this masterpiece through your book. All right. So here's how we're going to do it. When you break down the central steps as a part of your process, we're going to break it down and we're going to be very strategic. So understand first, we need to be able to understand the significance of our story. Then we're going to understand how to brainstorm it. But how we brainstorm it is what we call a mind map. So in the book, you're going to have a diagram like this. And a few questions that I want to be able to ask you are, what skills have you mastered? What challenges have you overcome? What are impactful stories and experiences that you've been a part of? What are you an expert in? What are some frequently asked questions that you've been asked? What problems do you desire to solve? And what lessons have you gained from books, podcasts, speaking engagements, specific to that central theme? All right. Specific to that central theme. So if you were to like draw this mind map, right? Your central theme would be in the middle. It'd be like right here. And put a heart because it's Valentine's Day. Your central theme would be in the middle. That purpose statement would be in the middle. All of the things that you've done, all of the things that essentially can help support that central theme, I just want you to really create a bullet point list. Create a bullet point list. A question that I ask people all the time, and if you were on our expert framework call, you would have been able to realize this. A question that I ask people all the time. If you were in a room with an individual's, or if you had 30 minutes to live and you were in the room with people that are going to benefit from your purpose statement, what would you talk about? If that person came up to you after and they were like, Kyle, how can I enhance my school's performance and be able to create an inclusive, innovative, and collaborative culture? What would be your first step to be able to recommend to this person? Then what would be your next step to be able to recommend to this person? And then after they do that, then what's the next step? And what's the next step? And what's the next step? When you think about this transformative process and this journey that an author goes on, or that a reader goes on, those steps are your chapters. Those steps are your chapters. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. When I think about if somebody came up to me and they're like, Kyle, how do I write a book? Step 1 is to be able to determine your outcomes, and you have your impact related goals and your income related goals. That's chapter 1 of my book. Step 2 is once you understand your goals, now you need to find the reader or the target audience to be able to write the book towards. That's chapter 2. Once you understand that, then you have to be able to develop. You see what I mean? So when you think about your specific central message, I want you to just write a bullet point list of all of the different things. Okay, well, I worked at this job and that can transfer over. All right, well, I had this story of when I was in a school and the teacher told me this. All right, well, I went, bankrupt and, this happened. And then I was able to learn financial literacy and it got me out. All right, well, I remember going into the bank and I had a 530 credit score, or the car dealership and so all of these different things. Now, this isn't my story at all. This may be yours. So I want you to start documenting what things are connected to that specific central message that you've been a part of. I think a lot of times people make the mistake because they're trying to go find information instead of just searching in their heart, searching and, unpacking their story a little bit better and understanding that the best content that you can write is the things that you've actually experienced, because you can be so detailed and official and passionate and convicted with all of the different things that you're saying. All right. So let's get to it. So once you create the mind map, this allows you to brainstorm your specific story in a way. Once you illustrate this process, now it's time for you to break down the different steps. At the beginning of each chapter, at the beginning of every single essential step, all right, you're going to break it down like this. There's going to be a few steps. The hook is the first step. All right, the hook is the first step. Y'all put hook in the chat. Y'all put hook in the chat wherever you are. If you're on LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, I want you to put hook in the chat. The first step in all of this process is really just mapping it out, creating your chapter outline, okay? The hook is the first step. Under the just for you to understand what the hook is, this is the anecdote, the shocking story. You could use a scripture, you could use a quote, you can use some story that's going to get the reader excited, engaged, and draw them in. Draw them in, okay? I think that a lot of time when you think of a movie, that first scene is like, oh man. The hook is the trailer to what the chapter is going to talk about. The hook is the trailer to what the chapter is going to talk about. All right. So the hook is number one. Number two is the thesis. The thesis, thesis, the thesis. All right. The thesis. I'm so excited. I love talking about books. I love talking about people's stories. When you think about the thesis, just like we learned in school, y'all, it's the objective. What is the central theme of this specific step as a part of this grand mission of being able to impact this person from my central message? So what of step one, which will serve as chapter one, what is the objective of chapter one? So let's say let's use financial literacy as an example. You're helping people build wealth through a 7-step process. Okay. Let's say step one is getting a money mindset. So shifting your mindset to be able to focus on creating wealth and a discipline and a system for you to be able to build wealth. All right. Those are things that I would consider. Okay. Then step two may be, audit your savings and all of these different things. So when you think about the thesis in step one, in my money mindset could say, all right, in this chapter, the goal and the objective of this chapter is to help someone develop the mindset for them to be ready to build wealth. Now you think about this. Whoo! Y'all ready? Y'all ready for number three? Y'all ready for number three? It's key takeaways. Key takeaways. What are the 3 key takeaways that you want an author, or a reader to be able to take away from this chapter as a part of that major objective? Okay? As a part of that major objective. Once you understand your key takeaways, all right, I want someone to be confident. I want, hey, Evelyn, good to see you. So good to see you. Ready. Let's get it. Let's get it. So when you think about step three, step 3 is your key takeaways. What are the 3 steps, the 3 takeaways, the 3 actions, the 3 major points, the 3 proven strategies, the 3 methods, the 3 methodologies that they will take at the end of reading that chapter? At the end of reading that chapter. And number 4, here we go. Y'all ready? So number 1 was the hook. Number 2 was the thesis. We're breaking down our chapter outline. Number 3 is the key takeaways. And number 4 is really the most important. What do y'all think it is? What do y'all think it is? What do y'all think it is? It's your chapter content, y'all. It's your chapter content. This is actually the meat and potatoes of your chapter. This is the meat and potatoes of your chapter. This is when we go back to our mind map in our book. When we go back in the mind map, this is the skills that we've mastered, the challenges that we've overcame, the impactful stories and experiences, the frequently asked questions, the problems that we solve. And when you break all of that down, I need you to group those things and then start putting them in the specific places that they need to go. All right, well, this one is a part of step 1. All right, this one is a part of step 5. All right, this one goes in step 7. All right, this one goes in step 4. Now, a question that I get all the time is, Kyle, what if I only have maybe 2 points for one of my chapters. What I would recommend, instead of having a shorter chapter, because I believe in I have very meaty chapters. I want you to have content in the chapters. I would see if you can combine that with another chapter and make it a section in another chapter. Okay? Combine it in another chapter. That's what I would personally recommend. All right? That's what I would personally recommend. So when you think about this, we have now structured your chapter outline. We have now structured your chapter outline with your hook, your thesis, your key takeaways, your chapter content. Your chapter content. Now, when we think about our chapter content, I want to break it down a little bit deeper for y'all. Is that okay? Can I break it down a little bit deeper? Put a 1 in the chat if I can break it down just a little bit deeper. Put a 1 in the chat if I can break it down just a little bit deeper. All right. So how I look at it is your chapter content can be broken down what we call as a clothesline method. When you think of the old school clothesline, when you're hanging up clothes and you use the little thing to be able to dry them off and bring them to the other side, that's the exact process that I think about when you have a reader that is on this side of the process, that is in pain, that is financially illiterate, that is unhappy, that is stressed out, that is all of these different things. You have a reader that is at point A, which they are not where they want to be in life. Your goal of as an author, as an expert, as an authority, is to be able to move them through your transformative process, through the totality of your lived experiences, and move them to point B. Now, I'm going to say this. If you are not an expert at moving someone from point A to point Z, it is okay to end where your expertise ends. You could move someone from point A to point D, to point A to point M, from point A to point J, okay? So you don't have to know the whole process. Where your expertise stops, you can write a book on that expertise and then be able to grow in that area. And then your next book can be in that next season where you become an expert, all right? So that's what I want us to think about. So when we think about this clothesline method, and we think about this step being where they are and this step be where they're going, what are all of the different steps in between that they need to take so that they can be able to get to that place that they desire? If you understand your avatar enough and you understand their pain points and their challenges, if you understand their objections, if you understand their frequently asked questions, if you understand their desires and their wants and their achievements, if you understand all of those different things, this process should honestly be one of the easiest processes to do, because you've already reverse engineered and thought through who this person is and what they need. I'm going to give you an example. If somebody was to come to me and say, Kyle, I am struggling right now, having the confidence to be able to get on stage and be able to speak. What is your first step? I would say probably you should write a book, or you should unpack your story a little bit more. What are things about your story to be able to help you drive, a message on stage? Okay. So then they're like, well, how do I unpack my story? I would give them a series of questions. Maybe that is step 1. Okay. Then through that process, obviously I'm biased, so they would end up writing a book, and then I would take them through the process of writing a book. Well, what are your goals? Well, who would you want to speak to? Well, what would you want to talk about? What are some things that have impacted you? I'm illustrating their roadmap, and I'm taking them through a process. So when you think about the impact that you want to make, or the income that you want to make, you have to align the stories, the content, your expertise, the messages in a way that is cohesive so that your reader can follow your journey. All right. So I'm going to pause there really quickly. Because I have a series of questions that I want to be able to ask you guys. So who is your reader? This is point A. Who is your reader? What experience do you want them to have? What feeling do you want them to feel? Where are they at in their journey? Why did they pick up this book? And why do you think, or what are some of the results that you hope that they gain? Okay. That you hope that they gain. So when you think about all of the different steps, I want you to think about your process. Now, if you are a person that, this is me years ago, that is thinking through their story and they're like, I don't even really know what to write. I don't know where to start. All of these different things. I want you to do this quick activity. You may have to do this off the call because I'm rocking and rolling tonight. I want you to do a 10 method. Put that in the comments. A 10. You could just put 3T method. Okay. I want you to write down 10 wins and 10 losses in your life. 10 wins and 10 losses. A win could look like something like, I graduated college, I got married, I made $1 million. I wrote my first book. All of these different things. What are some things that make you proud about life, things that you accomplished, things that you see as successes? Then I want you to write down 10 losses. What are things, I went bankrupt. I lost my company. I got heartbroken. I was abused as a child. I was abandoned. All these different things. It doesn't have to go that deep, but what are things that you would want to identify as a loss or a failure? Things that didn't meet your expectation. When you think about your specific wins, how did you do it? How did you do it? What was your process? What was your process when you got that house? Like, what was your process? When you got that woman or that man that you wanted, what was that process? Okay. What was the process that you had to do to get the thing? Because what you learn on the process, and y'all know this because you're professionals, is so much more important than what you learn and once you have the result. Okay. So then number 2 is the losses. What did you learn? What did you gain? Y'all see where I'm going with this? So now you've just created what? 20 potential ideas on things and on content that can support your book, right? You can transform that knowledge over. So I asked a question one time to one of my friends as he was writing a book, and I was like, George, what was the he likes to cook. He says he likes to cook, y'all. And I asked him, I was like, what is one of your favorite ingredients to make, or one of your favorite meals? And he was telling me one of the meals, and he was explaining that. I was like, what is the central ingredient to that specific meal? What is the specific ingredient to that specific meal? And he was saying, I think he said eggs. I don't know. I think he said eggs. I don't remember what exactly he said. I said, if you don't have that ingredient, what does that cause? And he was like, well, he was talking about bacon. That's what he was talking about. He said, if you don't have the eggs, it's not going to be able to rise and it's not going to be able to connect. Okay. So then I was like, all right, well, as a financial literacy expert, what's your most important ingredient? And if you don't have that, why is that? How does that cause people to not build wealth? He was like, I like that. So you can open up with you talking about your love for cooking and this ingredients. And you talked about this first time you made this meal and all of these different things. And you forgot the eggs. It didn't rise. And oh my God, it just didn't work out. And that's the story of how a lot of people approach their finances. Woo! I hope y'all feeling that one. I pulled that one really quickly, but that's how you can transform it in a way where it allows you to connect with a reader. And they're just reading this regular story. They're engaging with you. They're going on your journey. They're going on your adventure. And now you flip them in a way where they are so connected. And now you're able to position the content in front of them. All right. So who's with me on that one? Who's with me on that one? And if there's any cooks on the call tonight, let me know, because we could definitely chef up something together. So let's get into creating the writing plan. So now that we've broken up and structured our chapters, how do we actually go about writing this thing? How do we go about, creating this plan to be able to deliver it? So I've created an Oreos method is what I call, so that you can be able to create something, to create something masterful. All right. To create something masterful. And I'm a sweets person. Literally, I love cookies, cakes. It really doesn't matter. But this method is how you break down specifically talking about your specific chapter content. Okay. So now it's like, because a lot of people make the mistake because they have all of this content, all of these stories, all of these things that they see and they've experienced. Then the next question that they ask me is, well, how do I organize all my content in a way to be able to deliver the content in a cohesive way? And if you're not already delivering workshops or a speaker, this could be a challenging process, but I got you. So on page 46, and if you want a copy of my book, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. And I'm going to put a link up for you to grab the copy. Look, I have 20 books left as a part of the first 100 batch that needs to go out on Monday. I'm giving y'all a few more days to get the first 20 left. All right. So let's get to it. So Oreos is a method. And what I talk about here in the last chapter, we helped you fully organize your topics and content in a cohesive manner, leveraging a specific clothesline method. Yet the method is clear. It is incomplete as we look at how to deliver content to your specific audience. All right. So let's get it. Cookies are life. Cookies are life. I got to bring this one up. Cookies are life. I love it. Let's go. I love the energy on this call tonight. So the first O, write this down on your paper. The first O is opinion. 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 What is your opinion about the objective that you're writing about? What is your opinion of the objective, of that theme, of the chapter that you're writing about? Okay. How I communicated it at the beginning of any chapter, you want to be able to open it up with a powerful hook while also connecting with the reader during their journey. Okay. So if I was writing a book, I don't know, on how to write books and how to build a business from writing books, my opinion is everybody should have a book. I believe it. A question that I always ask people is if you lost your voice today, the thing that you give advice with, if you lost your voice, what have you built that can speak for you? Yes, you may have a successful company, you may have assets, and you may have real estate and all these different things, but there's a statistic that shows kids that grow up in wealth, I think in 3 to 4 or 5 generations, they're broke. But instead of giving them access to assets, why don't you give them access to a blueprint? Because now my son will be able to always have the resource to be able to recreate the success that his father has created for him. Okay. So when you really think about that, it's the blueprint that you're leaving. So that's just me. So the first step is the opinion. All right. The R is the research. Research. So it says, it's a statistic that says 92%, I believe, of authors that publish books only sell 276 copies of their books within the lifetime of their book being launched. Let me tell y'all something. If you are an author that has come through my program, and I have a lot of testimonials to validate this, and you only have sold 276 copies in the lifetime of your book, I'll refund you your money. Literally. Because that's just unacceptable. But I use that, right, to be able to help people understand the magnitude of how easy it is to sell thousands of copies. Go back on my YouTube channel and look at the 9 streams of income. Go back and look at how I said how you can generate $30,000 in 30 days from selling books. Go back on my channel and I talk about how do you sell 1,000 copies in 30 days. So I use the research. So the R is research. What is something, a statistic, a fact in that specific industry that can validate what you're talking is actually valuable? All right. So the E are examples or experiences. Examples or experiences. This is now when you get saucy with the stories that you wrote down a little bit earlier. This is where you add the stories, personal or professional examples or experiences that you have lived or that you have witnessed. Okay. Give the detail, go a little deep. You can never go too deep in the detail. Draw people in. What I like to tell my authors is I want you to write a fiction book with a nonfiction spin. I want you to be so engrossed in the content. I want my reader to be so engrossed that they don't even know that this is a nonfiction and I'm still teaching and I'm still empowering and I'm still impacting them in a specific way. So what I wrote down here is what examples can you provide to create a visual explanation? What experiences have you been a part of that would connect the current topic to your reader? Okay. All right. The O. Who's ready for the O? Who's ready for the O? Put an O in the chat if y'all are ready for the O. Put an O in the chat if y'all are ready for the O. And again, if y'all have any questions during this training, during this call, let me know. This is part 3 of how to write your book in 30 days. Y'all got to go back and see part 1 and 2 now. You have to. All right. So the O, the second O that is, are oppositions and opportunities. Oppositions or opportunities. You know, when you have a story that you're writing about in the examples or the experiences, you've met some type of opposition or some type of opportunity was created specifically from that story. I guarantee it. Every single time. I guarantee it. So what was that opportunity or what was that opposition? What I wrote down here is with every cause, there is an effect. So as you communicate the experiences or examples given above, also showcase the specific challenges that were created. And in this section, it will serve as the climax to create engagement or form a lesson to be given or taught to your specific audience. All right. I want y'all to really think about that. So, all right, I got the opinion. I got this research to back me. I have this experience or this example to add the meat to the chapter. And then now what was the opposition or the opportunities that was created? Now that you met the opposition or the opportunity, what do y'all think the S stands for? What do y'all think the S stands for? The person that can choose the S, I'm shipping out a free book tonight. Not tonight because the FedEx is closed. But I'm shipping out a free book tomorrow. The person that can choose the S, what do you think the S stands for? What do y'all think the S stands for? Y'all put it in the chat. We got nothing yet. I might have a little delay on me. What do y'all think the S stands for? Talk to me. Talk to me. Talk to me. I'm gonna give 5 seconds. 5 seconds until I see something. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, it's not coming yet. It's not coming yet. So the S, and if it comes in after I start, I got you. The S stands for solutions or sacrifices. Solutions or sacrifices. At the end of every chapter, what I wrote down is there is a major takeaway or a lesson. What was the solution, right? Or what was the sacrifice that had to be made as a part of these experiences, these examples, these oppositions and opportunities that were created, okay? And when you think about all of these different things, look, that is going to help you build out your chapter content. That is going to help you build out your chapter content. So, Kyle, you've given us all this information. You've given us all this information. Now what? Now what do I do, Kyle? Now what do I, how do I go off and create this manuscript? Well, that's what part 4 is about. That's what part 4 is about. But before we get to part 4 and what we're going to talk about next week on Tuesday, and I want y'all to tap in. What we're going to talk about tonight is how the importance of creating your environment. So I'm just going to give you some publisher hacks, author hacks. Don't write more than 1,000 to 2,000 words a day. That's one. Don't write more than 1,000 to 2,000 words a day. If you're a typer, now next week, we're going to talk about the importance and how you go about transcribing your content and accelerating your content, but don't go further than if you're sitting and you're typing it old school or you're writing it old school. 1,000 to 2,000 word count is enough. An hour and a half a day is enough. 30 minutes is enough. Okay. So you want to just be able to be consistent. I like to write either late night once my son is asleep or early morning before my son gets up in the morning before he goes to school. I cannot find myself writing during the day with, client projects, with meetings, with team meetings, with responsibilities, going to the gym, being a dad, all of these different things. It just doesn't work out during the course of the day. So I have to allocate time to be able to focus on writing books. Now, what worked for me as a part of this book, I had to go on a trip. And I had to really lock in and get it done. And then came back and reviewed and rewrote the content and then sent it over to editing. Now, with this book, this was the first rendition and then sent it back to editing after I went through it and I needed to see it, the tangible book and how it flowed and what it looked like and all of those different things. But the first thing I always talk about is create the environment that works for you. All right. Find your creative time, commit to your writing goals. And what I want us to all do tonight, if you are a person like me that is an executor, you are a problem solver, you are a go-getter, you're a high achiever, I want you to do something for me tonight. And this is going to be super different than anything that I personally recommend to people. I want you to announce when you're going to be an author. I want you to announce your book. And what I would honestly want you to do is I want you to announce your book 30 days from now. I want y'all to say that I'm going to launch my book. What's it, February 14th? I want you guys to say I'm going to launch my book April 1st. April 1st. I want y'all to say it. I want you to create a graphic or reach out to your team to create a graphic or reach out to a family member to create a graphic. And I want you to say that I am going to be an author on April 1st. I'm going to drop a book on April 1st. And what I want you to ask your audience, if I was to write this book, what do you think that the book is going to be about? Or comment under that post on what you think the book would be about. And I want you to really see what people think that you could be able to write the book on. And then that will give you a gauge of maybe how people view you, what people see you as well as potentially what you could write your content on as well. Okay. So I want y'all to announce. That is the biggest thing for me. I'm always about announcing things before it's ready. So look, if you want a copy of the book, if y'all want to be a part of the network to be able to get the book, I want you to tap into the link that I just posted. I'm going to put it on the screen as well for you guys. And if you guys have any questions, that's what I'm here. So tonight was all about one thing, being able to help you create your content, be able to help you plan out your content as well. Okay. Create it, plan it. Next week, I'm going to teach you how to structure it in a way where it's ready to be delivered. But your homework tonight, I'm going to give you homework. I got to give y'all some homework tonight because every call I've been delivering all this value and I haven't given any homework. But your homework tonight is to look at your specific chapters, look at your specific steps as a part of your transformative process. Look at your steps as a part of your transformative process. And I want you to do one thing. If you were to deliver a speech on just that chapter, let's say chapter 1 alone, for 30 minutes long, a workshop, you were delivering a workshop, how would you open it up? What are the things that you would say? What are the things that the activities that your audience would take part in doing? What are the things that you, what are the questions that you would ask them? What is the homework that you would give them? And I want you to deliver it. I want you to get ready to deliver it next week. All right. And I want you to do that for every single chapter. I want you to develop a presentation for every single chapter. It doesn't have to be in PowerPoint or in Canva or in OneDrive or anything like that. It could simply be on a written text, or you can write bullet points out. If you're better speaking than other people, if you do this often, then just write out the points. But I want you guys and gals, I want everyone on this call to write out potentially for all of your steps, for all of your chapters, a 30-minute presentation or workshop that you're going to be able to do. That is homework. That is homework. The next piece of homework is to go to this link that has been scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I want you to go to this link and get a book. And I want one of my team members. I'm going to sign a book for you and I'm going to ship it out to you. It's going to be shipped out on Monday of next week. But I want you to not just get one copy. I want you to get 2 copies because I believe as a part of this process, you need an accountability partner. So get a copy for yourself and then get a copy for the person that's going to be holding you accountable as a part of this process. Put a 1 in the chat if you're going to grab a copy tonight, and put a 1 and a 2 or 2 1s if you're going to do your homework and you're going to grab a copy tonight. Y'all talk to me. If you're going to do your homework and you're going to grab your copy, y'all put a 1 in the chat for me. And if you have any questions, let's get it. Let's get it. What are some questions that we have? What are some questions? I want to hear from you. What are some questions that we have? What are some questions that we have? Y'all talk to me. Y'all talk to me. Y'all talk to me. What are some questions? What are some questions? All right. I want to be able to support. I'm here to support. I'm here to support. What questions do we have? Evelyn, I'm loving the comments. I'm loving the energy tonight. I'm loving the energy. I appreciate it. Pamela, if you're still with us, I love how you put purpose statement and hook. Evelyn, that she was ready. She was ready. My man Justin on here. I love it. Kiana tapped in tonight. Kiana tapped in with the 3T method. Love it. Love it. Love the support. Love the support. All right. If there's not any questions, I want y'all to do the homework tonight. I want you to do the homework. I want you to click on the link. If you're watching the replay, I want you to like and subscribe to the channel. And I want you to share this with at least 2 people. At least 2 people. Can we do that? Can we at least share it with 2 people? And if you have further questions that you don't want to ask live, that is completely fine. Shoot me an email. Shoot me a DM. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Shoot me a message on Facebook. Or go to thewritersgame.com and schedule a call with our team. I love you guys so very much. Tap into us next Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're going to be rocking out on part 4 of this 4-part series. Look, this has been so great. This has been so great. And I'm so excited to be sharing and just pouring into you guys. I'm simply a vessel that I'm being moved in the way that I'm called to be moved. So I will see you guys next week. Take care and have a good evening.